welcome you to another live edition of The Sports Box, your go-to sports podcast featuring great content, conversation, and your occasional disagreement. Stick around to interact and ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. Good morning, everyone. It is Week 15 NFL pregame on the Sports Box. Brian Attar, Drew Trammell, Anthony Medio taking you wall to wall all around the action today in what could be a very pivotal week for the playoff picture. We'll talk through that. We'll talk through some college news this week, which will be very interesting because it does link to the NFL. Gentlemen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. How you doing, brother? I'm doing good.
I am living the dream.
What's up, boys? Morning, week 15 already. That's amazing. I can't believe we're here, but it's good to be here.
I mean, it does tend to fly by. Like, you know, you go from like week 2 to like week 6, and then all of a sudden, you know, here we are, and we're just a number of weeks away from the playoffs. Today is probably the first week of fantasy playoffs in your league. If you haven't watched the Blitz, we'll try to touch on a couple of things too. That's our pre-show into the action on Sundays. But I want to get started with the game on Thursday night, which if you had anybody playing in that game, you probably were not a huge fan of the offensive production. So the Rams get the 12-6 win, riveting football. Stafford goes 16 of 27, 160. Brock Purdy 14 of 31 for 142 and a pick. Kyron Williams led the way on the ground with a $108. Garendo filling in as the third string guy for the Niners went for 57. Puka took care of you, 7 for 97. Kittle 4 for 61, but no one got in the end zone from either team. It's the way the NFL works. A lot of this feels like this was it for the Niners. You know, you have a home game that you have to win to kind of keep your season alive. They're down to 6-8 now. I think that you can pretty much close the door on the casket of the 2024 Niners. I think that, you know, they just couldn't overcome the injuries, and that's all right. Super Bowl hangover, it is what it is. But listen, the Rams won't go away, and they were my pick to go to the Super Bowl before this thing started. I know it hasn't really gone that way, but this team doesn't go away. They find different ways to win, and you have to respect it.
I'll get it started. I've kind of felt like this way that the Niners, the door is closed on the Niners for a while. I think their run is kind of over. I think this team is going to start going in a different direction next year, probably with some personnel. So I do think the Rams just right now are a better team. Chris. Yeah, I think the Rams are just playing better right now. They got a real young defense that's coming along, playing really well. And obviously you got a Super Bowl winning quarterback with a bunch of weapons. So the Rams are definitely a threat. But yeah, I just think the Niners' door is closed, and it's been like that for a while this year at least.
Well, let's talk about the game real quick. So the game was absolutely nothing that I expected at all. Bad weather conditions. Obviously, we all saw that night. The rain was coming down crazy. It affected the offensive flow for both teams. Deebo Samuel wanted to bitch and complain about not getting the ball. Yeah, he got it. He got like 5 or 6 times to drop it twice. So he needs to shut his mouth and recognize that he hasn't been the same type of player he has been in previous years. He's not involved in the offense at all whatsoever. He's complained. It's looking like a $25 million a year mistake since they gave him that contract. I think both receivers should have never gotten the deal that they got, him or Ayuk. Their best player from an offensive standpoint, besides CMC, is George Kittle. And George Kittle, once again, showing the world why he's a top 5 tight end in the NFL. They obviously are yes, I agree with Ant. It's over. Their playoff consecutive playoff streak since Jimmy G tore his ACL that one year is going to come back and haunt them. They're done. You know, I kind of have to harken back to last year's comments. It came up on my history on Facebook, and I watched a little bit of our episode last year. I don't know what week it was, but I have legit 45 to 50 million issue with Brock Purdy getting the contract that he deserved, he deserved. He's not an elite playmaker. He's a productive game manager. He reminds you of Alex Smith 2.0. I would still pay him. I'm not paying him to that length. I think you need to have a conversation with him. Listen, dude, do you want to be the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers for years to come? You need to make between 30 and 35 million a year. If that's not the case, then we're going to move on to a different direction. Nick Bosa reminding people how godly he is, regardless of what hat he wears after games. He's still a beast in the football field between the sidelines. But at the end of the day, dude, this game was about the Rams defense. They stepped up, getting torched, and it being ridiculed for weeks on end. They stepped up to the plate. I know it's Garindo, but that offensive line is still freaking beastly at San Francisco. They filled up the gaps. They play. I can't remember that dude's name, but the edge, the outside linebacker, absolutely shined in this game.
First, yeah.
Oh no, yeah, there it is. So yeah. So at the end of the day, dude, the Rams. It looks like we're looking good. I know they're not going to win the West. They have a shot. I know Seattle has. I think they have 2 games on them. If they win today, they have 2 games, Brian. If I'm 100% on that, but
we'll get to records. We're gonna go through
Seattle,
the whole
Seattle
playoff thing in a little bit.
But it does look like they are in the driver's seat for a 5-7 position for the wild card, which is something that we all could pat our own backs on because we all picked the Rams to eventually make the playoffs. I know we picked them to win the division, but this is a team. Dan Orlovsky said earlier this week. This is a team that is scary. It reminds me of what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were last year, but I like this team more than I did Tampa Bay last year. This defense, if they step up to the plate, they could be something. But Stafford's playing on a different level in a bad weather condition night, and they were able to do. Kyron Williams put up 108 yards on 29 carries, which is absolutely bananas. Blake Corum looked like a shell of himself. Can't catch the ball, but the Rams team. Hey, listen, guys, I know I've been saying all year, but Sean McVay, you got to give him Coach of the Year at least some type of this dude. Give him a blank check. Honestly, this guy just makes teams better. That's why coaching matters in the football. Look at the NBA and the ratings, almost as worse as the WNBA. Another conversation another day. But the Rams are absolutely phenomenal this year. They've been up and down, riddled with injuries, and Sean McVay still has them steering in the right direction. I know we say, hey, if you can't make the playoffs or if you can't make the championship, it doesn't matter. But, dude, I don't care. This team, they excite me, and I like them a lot. They're well-coached, well-versed. I love everything that Ant said, dude. It's right on the money. Watch out for the Rams.
We'll get to dark horses in a little bit, but, I mean, not to give it away, but, like, you got to think, like, there's not a team that wants to see the Rams in the playoffs. So I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell you that right now. To your Purdy point, yeah, I mean, listen, we have this discussion all the time, and everybody gets on me and outside the box, which you're not in, you should join, about that. I don't think Brock Purdy is very good. Like, oh, well, look at the wins, look at the production. I'm like, yeah, that's great. It's a wonderful environment that he is in where they've been able to build a very expensive roster around him because they're paying him nothing. And that equation changes when you have to pay him money. Now listen, that's a tough decision for me. Like, you know, are they probably going to pay him? Probably. I think they probably don't really have much of a choice. But at the same time, like, you're not going to tell me the team's better off. All of a sudden, I mean, I take you back. We're going to go back in ancient history here. You know, when the Cowboys couldn't win, when Dak was making $600,000, how did they win when he was making $40 million? It's the same exact premise, right? Like, if you can't win when you have all this extra money to build around, and all of a sudden you're going to pay this guy, that's a leap of faith. And I agree.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I think the difference is there, Brian, is that the San Francisco 49ers around him are elite. So they don't need him to be productive like how Cowboys needed Dak to be productive.
How long are they going to be elite? You got CMC, who's been
I agree with you.
For so long.
I agree with you.
Debo's not the player he used to be. You know what I mean? You got Ayuk. You don't know where you're going to get coming back from an injury. I mean, the only steady guy you have is Kittle, and Jennings has been playing really well. So I mean, this is kind of a tryout for him to see if he could somehow carry a team on his back without these guys around him.
But he can't.
And you're seeing it. You really can't. I mean, Thursday night's game is hard to gauge because of the weather. It was a factor. I mean, in other games, I mean, he's got to show out when he needs to when these guys are down. And I don't have confidence in that.
It's a lot of it's a lot of it's hard, Brian. It's hard because just 2 weeks ago he's removed from throwing over 350 against Chicago with Kittle and with Debo, who didn't get any targets. He won with Kittle and Juwan Jennings and no CMC. Isaiah Guerrero went out mid-third. So it's like he really didn't have a running game for mid-third, but at that point, it was already game over. So it's like I get what you're saying. It's really hard because let's say they don't re-sign him. You're not going to tell me he's the number one pickup for teams that are looking for a quarterback. He will be.
How do you convince them that? How do you convince him to take to take any kind of pay cut? That's the thing. His agent, it'll never happen.
You won't because he's a 7th round pick. He was the last pick.
You only get so many contracts in the league.
I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, and I wouldn't be shocked just a little bit across state lines. They would knock on his door right away. You already know who I'm talking about.
The Raiders.
The Raiders would knock on the door right away, especially if they draft a rookie quarterback. Hey, bro, let Brock let's have you sit behind Brock and do it the right way, right? Because the Raiders won't do it the right way. But
that doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't happen.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying it could be something where you go the Raiders and you're in a system that benefits you. I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. I agree, David. That's a good point.
But hold on. But to John Suggs' point, if you have money to spend based on what you've seen, even if it's recency bias, who would you rather give it to right now? Would you rather give it to Brock Purdy or Sam Darnold? And again, I'm not saying that's
a 1-year show. It's a 1-year show.
I completely agree with you. But again, it's what have you done for me lately? Guys get paid off years like that.
Brock Purdy with the same 5% arm beat Sam Darnold 2 years ago.
Well, that's a question. Drew, that's a question too, because prior to the Bears game, he was hurt with an arm injury he's already had issues with. So I mean, how much are you going to hang on that also? Organization trying to pay a guy with a bum arm. I mean, that has to really be reevaluated.
That's true. That's a good point, man. Tommy John surgery for a football quarterback is crazy. Crazy.
He doesn't have the biggest arm as is. So.
No. That's a good point, dude. I didn't even think about that. That's true.
Yeah, the Niners, it's gonna be interesting.
Very interesting.
I think their time has passed.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that. That defense is so good, dude.
Everybody gets older every year.
And people move around, man.
They do.
Debo's not the same player. CMC's, I mean, his legs are just, I mean, come on. How long? So, I don't know.
That's why you don't pay running backs.
What is
well,
it?
What
is CMC? What?
No,
stop it. Stop it.
It is the shortest shelf life position in the game.
Stop.
It is.
Stop.
It's a completely dependent position.
When he came back, that offense looked completely different. You cannot say that for most. I agree with you most times, but he's the rarity, just like Saquon Barkley's the rarity.
Wow.
Stop.
Saquon Barkley got a hell of an offensive line to run behind.
Yeah, he does, but look what he's doing though.
Yeah, but
look what he's doing though.
But is it chicken or the egg?
Don't start with the chicken. And egg. It's too early in the morning for chicken and the egg.
I'm just saying. Okay,
I'm cooking both and eating both.
Yes.
I thank you for inviting me. I had a good time. Bill Belichick back in the news. So Bill Belichick has taken the head coaching job at UNC. I'm not sure if he wants to just commute with his girlfriend to school. Maybe like get something like a carpool rate on the whatever. So the rumors are that prior to him taking that job, he acquired, about of all openings, the opening with the New York Jets, where he had it for a day and left. And the story is that hates the Jets, hates the owner, but he was willing to see if they'd take him back. He has 14 career wins behind Don Shula, second all time. The question here is, what did you think of the move? Because it kind of really felt like it kind of came out of left field. But is this just a bide my time type move, or is he actually done in pro football?
I mean, did he see this coming? Did he see teams not wanting to hire him? Because I mean, he took this the middle of the season. I mean, he did wait it out.
He knew.
You know what I mean? I can't believe it. I mean, right, Brian? How many teams we talk about Giants, Bears,
8 or 9.
Oh yeah,
that are just
8 or 9.
They're atrocious. They're just wrecks, and you don't even look at Bill Belichick. Like it's pretty crazy. So it's obvious he's seen this coming, and he saw a really good opportunity in North Carolina, a college with a lot of money, a lot, a lot of it's attractive. So I mean, and he took it, and it's going to be interesting to see how he handles these college kids, because right now, college is crazy. The NIL, the kids run the show, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does it. But I'm kind of shocked. I think it's crazy he's not going to be in the NFL.
I think if Bill Belichick ever watches this episode in some time in life, he's not gonna like what I have to say, because I think this is the most idiotic job take I ever seen in my life. This is effing dumb. 10 years ago, this would have been extremely attractive. Not now. Bill's way, the Patriot way, will not work in the UNC. You're dealing with kids that can get paid to play college football, something that he's already been vehemently against, like Nick Saban. There's a reason why Nick Saban left. And now now you got an old head coming in there who, to a lot of people, think is the greatest coach of all time. Not me, but to a lot of people, they think he is. He's probably the greatest defensive mind we have ever witnessed on the highest level of sports. But I really think, and I listened to a podcast. Shout out to the Football Insiders. He is really butthurt over Atlanta. He was told the job was his. It was his for him. He was going to have a hand in GM, not take the role, but have a hand in it. And then they took it from him when they realized all this stuff that he wanted wasn't going to come to tuition.
Yeah, that's going to be the issue.
That was going to be the issue. That was going to be the issue, and that's why they took it from him and gave it to Morris.
The owners, the presidents, they want control, and he will not. And he's very controlling. He wants it all. And these guys don't want that kind of guy.
Yeah. When Arthur Blank talked to, and I can't think of his name right now, the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft. That conversation, if you guys look at the timeline, that conversation that came out that said that Arthur Blank was talking to other executives, that's when they pulled the job from him and they gave it to Morris. I really think, because he was down in Atlanta waiting for the official thing, and it was taken from him. You said it. Why is he doing this mid-season when Black Monday isn't until another month? He already knows. That's why he talked to the Jets. And the Jets told him, no, we're not going to hire you. So it's like, which is stupid by the Jets, but it is what it is, dude. Brian, long story short, how is a 72-year-old man going to resonate with 18 to 24-year-olds? I just don't see it happening. And I think this is a job where he needs to prove to himself and to his other fellow NFL teams to see what he's able to do in UNC. But there's no way he's going to survive 5 years against UNC.
This is a challenge he's going to do. This is a challenge for him. It's different in college. I mean, he's got to recruit. He's got to get into with families. I mean, there's so many things with these college kids, and he's going to have to get involved with. He's going to have obviously good people around him. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of staff he brings on. If he brings the NFL staff, but I mean, if he gets this thing any kind of rolling, right? He's going to coach circles around all these like college coaches. Like, it's not even going to be fair. If he gets kids to fall in line, it's not going to be fair.
He's not Dion. He's not Dion though, dude. He don't talk to people. He's just like.
Have you seen him on TV lately? I think his personality is loosened up.
Yeah, that's because he's banging a 24-year-old every morning. Hopefully, that would change your life too.
Yes, it would. I mean, yes, it would.
Noted.
Sooner or later, the Viagra's not going to work, and I mean, it's just
listen.
But Here's where I'll disagree. I actually think it would be easier to institute something like the Patriot way with younger kids who are more impressionable. I think that he can play off of his aura, his name, and everything else. They can say, I can help you get to the next level, and here's how it's done. And I think that gets actually, I think, more played than it does in the pros, because it's just these kids want to listen to something Bill Belichick is saying.
If you're an NFL football team drafting a kid coached by Bill Belichick, that's beneficial. So, I mean, he's going to get really good football players in North Carolina.
That's true.
There's a lot of money down there.
Recruiting is legit. Like, if you're a kid, right? So the same thing about going to Colorado. You want to go where Dion is.
Yeah.
The same idea. It's kind of a celebrity head coach, but it works.
I mean, North Carolina's got jump man money. You know that. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to be very. If he maybe 2 years, and he could jump off.
Eileen with the comment of the day. She's not a money grabber. Bill's still sexy at 72. That Social Security check is hot.
He's a winner. A lot of rings. Rings and things.
Yeah, listen, I don't know how it's going to pan out. I just don't think he's going to hang up the NFL without trying to get to number one. And I think he's not really a huge fan of Don Shula to begin with, so I think he wants it. I think he couldn't see the opportunity. So is it for him a kind of prove myself, I can do this outside of New England somewhere else, and maybe that gets him back? That's extremely plausible to me. It's probably
John, I'll take that bet. I'll put $100 on it. I'll put $100 on it.
I don't know, man. I think if he's
give me the hand emoji.
If he gets successul, he could be in North Carolina forever.
It just depends what he wants to do. I mean, but again, but I think to him, the allure of being the number one coach of all time and wins, I think that's something that he would want. And
which he can't do. He won't do that. Then he won't coach for 5 years at UNC.
That's my point. Yeah,
there's no way. There's no way. No one got hired as a head coach at 77 years old.
Launch it back, rebuild the brand, and then get back to the pros. I think that's probably what I think is likely to happen.
I'm excited to see what happens.
As the sports box broke hours ahead of time, and people said that we were lying, Travis Hunter wins the Heisman. We knew that yesterday, but we decided to wait a little bit. 2 questions here. I don't watch college football. This means nothing to me. I know the awards, whatever. Number 1, was it the right call over the Boise State running back Ashton Genty? And 2, realistically, we don't see this anymore. Can he actually play both sides of the ball in the NFL?
Oh man. So you could argue it both ways. Like I thought it was close. But odds-wise, the odds makers made it nowhere near close. It came out the votes the votes came out, it was pretty close. I favored the running back. I know he played in a weaker league. I felt he carried his team all year. They're a better team than Colorado. They almost took out Oregon. They lost by a late field goal. I think it was an overtime field goal. I mean, he had a hell of a season. He ran from his 200 yards a game. I mean, I don't even know if we'll see that again. I was leaning towards the running back. As far as Hunter playing both ways in the NFL, it's going to be very difficult. It's a different game. It's going to depend on the team he goes to. So I think he'll start off at cornerback. I honestly think he's better at a cornerback on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion. I think the hype, the most hype. I think the hype got him the Heisman.
I disagree. I think Travis Hunter is a phenomenal player. He definitely deserves to win the Heisman. I think his year this year was absolutely amazing. What he was able to do, the snap usage, the productivity on both sides of the ball, the fact that this dude can run crisp routes and also play corner at a high level that he already did this year. Just a phenomenal player. Love his technique. Love his the ability that he's able to close within the receivers every time, shadowing them every time. Never got burnt once this year. Never allowed a receiver to get more than 100 yards. Can play slot, can play top, can play bottom, can play shadow. And then from the receiver standpoint, he can also play slot, play mostly outside the numbers. But he's able to do anything that you ask him to do. Kind of related to a lot to the Shohei Ohtani, to be able to the fact that you could play pitcher and play defense at a high level and play offense at a high level. You got to give the same respect to Travis Hunter to be able to do this both ways. And from the NFL standpoint, I agree that he would be better Wise as a corner, but I think we haven't seen a player like this since the days of Troy Brown.
Because
well,
Drew, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, if you're going to be a number one cornerback in the NFL and cover the number one wide receiver in the NFL every play of the game, I mean that takes a
is he?
That takes a toll.
Is he?
He's going.
Is he going to be asked to be a follower?
What are you drafting him for? I don't know. I would
just to be a good corner. Isn't it? He'll take away half of the field for you if that's what people are projecting him to be. Then you take away half the field on whoever side he's on.
Yeah, I just think it's just gonna be difficult. I mean, it's rare you see it. I mean, I'm interested to see it, but I just think it's rare.
Listen, when you've been under the tools since you're 8 years old with the prime, I mean, that's gonna do a lot of things for you. Yeah, I listen, dude. Like at the end of the day, I think for me personally, we haven't seen a player like this since, like I said, Troy Brown, and since Deion, and in his heyday in the 90s. I just think that we're gonna see the next version of Deion. With that's how much I like this kid from a technical standpoint and from both sides of the ball. He's able to do a lot of things. He's a game changer, man, and that's I don't think that's hype. I think he's shown what he's able to do at the highest level. So I mean, at the highest level of college, but we'll see what he can do in the NFL. I think he will play both ways.
The interesting part to me that I'd be curious about is, let's say that he does. What does that contract look like when he signs another deal, right? Because again, it's like, well, I play both sides of the ball, so I deserve at least 1.5 times what you'd pay.
It's going to be nasty.
Right? Yeah, and I think that's a very interesting thing because we don't see it. And I think that's the unknown. I'd be very curious.
So a team wouldn't allow him to do that? Is that what you're saying, Brian?
No, I mean, you know, Deion's all about that action, boss. Like he's gonna. Yeah. This is all about making as much money as possible, right? Yeah, so if you're playing two positions, you're gonna want to be paid like you're playing two positions.
Yeah, it's a totally different element. Yeah,
I don't think we have anything to base that on.
No, I mean Deion played different sports, so you can't even really base it on that. I mean, not this. Deion didn't flip over sides; he returned punts,
right,
and play defense.
It'll be very, very interesting. I'll definitely tell you that in my personal opinion. Before we get to the games of the day, I kind of want to go through at least the current playoff picture, just get a feel for what we think here, right? So the AFC, you're starting to see. I think that we pretty much know who's probably going to get in. I mean, there's a game in Denver today. It's going to be very, very interesting, which we'll talk about.
Go Indy.
But other than that, I mean, look, if the Broncos win that game, which we'll get to in a little bit, I think this is your playoff field. I think this is done.
Another big game too. I mean, you're not really. I mean, no one's probably really going to watch. I mean, maybe, but I mean, Houston and Miami is pretty much almost close to a playoff game. I mean, Miami's still got a shot. Houston hasn't been playing well, so that's kind of an interesting matchup today, also.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Go ahead. You're good.
That Denver Broncos. I was the biggest fan of the New York Jets last week because I wanted them to beat Miami. They freaking
yeah.
I'm so pissed off at the Jets. But for me, dude, like I'm a huge Indy Colts fan. I need separation from Denver. We got him next week on Thursday. I will be watching a play on Thursday night for the first hour of the game.
Oh boy!
I'm raising my voice so my wife can hear me. She's cooking right now, so that she understands how dedicated of a husband I am. But I will be on my phone watching the damn game while the play's on. I'll tell you right now. But yes, this Sunday, today, I need the Colts to win, and I need the Chargers to destroy the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to have some confidence heading into Thursday. But yeah, dude, there's really nothing to talk about, right, Brian? I mean, that's the marquee matchup today. Who's Cincinnati playing?
The Bengals
Tennessee
are playing in Tennessee.
Ooh, okay, so
yeah, but even that though, right? I mean, like what I'm saying is the top 7 get in. I mean, at worst case, the Broncos are at 6 losses. I mean, no one's going to change. Like the top 7 today will be the top 7 on Tuesday. Like that's not going to change.
Yeah, you're right.
So, like again, right. You're starting to just see that separation. If anything, can I tell you something? You actually want the Colts to lose today, because then
why?
Because then there's only so many teams that can catch the Chargers. If you want the Chargers to just get in, you need Indy, Miami, and Cincy to lose so that there's a clear delineation, top 7.
Yeah, but I want to be a selfish, greedy prick. I want the 5 seed. I want to play Houston in the first round.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's all. That's all I want. I don't want to play. I wouldn't mind playing Pittsburgh, but I definitely don't want to play Buffalo.
I mean, you got to play them all eventually.
Well, yeah, but I want a notch on my belt, and I want a freaking playoff victory so I can rub it in some people's faces. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
But I agree with you. I see what you're saying, but still, that game scares me on Thursday. I mean, the Denver Broncos are playing. They're just like the Chargers. They are playing on house money.
Have you guys?
They are not supposed to be here.
Is this the first game in the series with them?
Yeah, second game. We won the first one in Denver.
You won the first one in Denver?
We shalonked them, but this was before Bo Nix got into his bag. Now that he's in his bag, I'm a little scared, dude. I'm a little scared.
Listen, he does. He looks pretty good. I mean,
he
looks kind of call like it is.
Bro. Yeah.
We're on a good streak of Thursday night games at least. The last 3 weeks have been some good matchups.
Agree.
Baltimore does not drop from the top 7 because they're at 8 wins, John. The Colts can only get to 7. No matter what, these top 7 will still be your top 7 when the games are played this week. Now, we're talking about week 16, different conversation.
John high?
John Suggs.
Yeah, is he high?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe.
It's early.
Is meth free on Sundays? What's going on, dude?
So that's the look. I mean,
like to count and 1, 2, 3.
I mean, I think. I mean, the Chiefs are getting close to locking it up. Buffalo's got a big game we'll talk about. Pittsburgh's got a big game we'll talk about. But I just think you're starting to see this is going to be your 7 teams. There was always going to be the top 6, and then the question was who was going to come out of that for the 7. I thought it'd be Cincinnati. Clearly, I was wrong about that. It looks like it's going to be Denver, and we'll see where that goes, and we'll go from there. In the NFC side of things, there's your magical 11 that have 6 wins or more. I'm telling you right now, the Rams would love to see a Commanders loss today. Probably not going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Again, the Rams have a couple ways in here. They're looking for Seattle to lose as well. I mean, the Rams can get the 3 seed. Like that's kind of like how crazy this whole thing is.
Oh, wow, they can. Yeah,
they can. Absolutely, they can because they win that division. Tampa's at 7-6. You know.
You don't think Washington's going to lose today?
Do I not think Washington's going to lose today?
No, I mean
they're playing Philly.
No, Washington's playing the Saints.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
So no, I do not. We'll get to that game in a couple.
Good call.
Seattle home dogs today. Big matchup there too. So I mean, yeah, this thing could flip around all ways today.
It's amazing what you're seeing here because again, to me, if you said who's the 3rd best team in the NFC, it's either your 5 or your 6, and that's what this divisional stuff kind of does. Is you know, I mean, I'd much rather be a couple of those wild card teams than I'd rather be Seattle or Tampa personally. I mean, right now, I mean, Seattle would play Green Bay in the first round if it ended today.
Can we go real quick? Can we? Tampa Bay is playing the Chargers today. Who's Seattle playing today?
Seattle's got the
Green Bay. Green Bay.
Tonight.
So if Green Bay real quick, just in my mind, if Green Bay loses today, are they out?
No.
And does LA go?
No.
Oh no, LA has the 8 wins already.
They can only get the 5.
Sorry, my bad. My apologies.
Yep.
Let me get what John has.
A night job?
No, it's some meth. Listen.
Look,
the NFC South is going to be the most interesting thing we're going to talk about today because if Atlanta wins on Monday, they have the tiebreaker because they already beat them head to head. So they'll jump into the top spot. NFC South. But really, are we really scared of Atlanta or Tampa Bay if you're any other team? I'm not.
No,
in the postseason.
The 5 seed's been a good spot to be as of late.
Yeah.
If you're in Minnesota, you're cooking right now, dude. You're really cooking right now because you're not going to beat Detroit because Detroit has the head-to-head. So essentially, they have 2 games on whoever is the NFC North between Green Bay and Minnesota. So it looks like, I think it's safe to say, it looks like the playoffs are going to run through Detroit if they finish out the month, right? So that's scary enough as it is because that's a team that has played the majority of games. Brian, you called it last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago. Most of the majority of games has been in the dome.
Yep.
So if you're in Minnesota right now, you're in an extremely great spot. You got Chicago on Monday. I love you, Ant, but that's going to be a big time win for them on Monday. It should be an easy win, but it's a big time win. But if I were them, I would want to stay in that 5 spot, Brian. I probably wouldn't even want the 1 spot because you're going against the NFC South, and wouldn't that be something?
The one gets the bye. You want the 1 spot.
Yeah, but I mean, you get the NFC South, and then if you win that game, you do have to go and play Philly. I think Philly's going to stay at the number 2. So that's oh man, I'm more excited NFC wise than I am AFC.
This is going to be fun. The most interesting team is Seattle. I think they've been playing.
I agree.
They've been playing well, and I mean they have all the tools. They got weapons around. They got a good running game. Their defense is starting to play well. So, I think we're going to talk about dark horses, and Seattle's one of mine.
Seattle and the Rams.
Yeah,
I was going to say
dark horses.
We actually didn't do that in the AFC. Actually, I meant to do that, and I'd like to go back to that. So if you're looking at this list, right? So if it's not, I think everybody thinks that we're on our way to a KC Buffalo AFC Championship game. Like that's what it feels like, right? So, but if you had to pick a team, I mean, look, Baltimore has looked shaky, at times this year. I really like what the Chargers can do, and it's like
let's go, Brian.
Listen, I agree.
Let's go, Brian.
We're all on board.
No, listen.
Let's go, man.
Are you telling me? Listen, are you telling me the Chargers can't go into Pittsburgh and win that game? Yes, they can win that game. Absolutely, they can win that game.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think morning quick, and I don't think that the Chiefs want to see the Chargers again.
No.
Personally. I mean, if I got to pick a team from 4 to 7 that says who can come out of the AFC, I'm telling you right now, I'm picking the Chargers. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to pick my own team as a dark horse, but that's why I'm saying I want the 5 seed. I really do, and I know that's gonna lead me down a path where I have to go to Buffalo and play in Buffalo, but that's the playoffs. You eventually have to beat the top teams of whatever the conference is. So I want that 5 seed really bad. And I think the Chargers understand that and realize that. And hopefully they can, come out today and next Thursday and make some noise and get some dubs. But at the end of the day, if I didn't pick the Chargers, my dark horse team would be the Broncos, just because they're well rounded as far as what we have seen, especially in this last month. But yeah, man, I'm pushing back, man. I don't see a KC Buffalo championship game.
No, I'm saying, but that's the likely scenario. But like again, what can change?
Yeah, true.
Tony.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Been running around town this morning trying to get stuff done.
More quick.
Who's your AFC dark horse?
My AFC dark horse? I mean, the cast of characters kind of remain the same, and even though Houston's been struggling a little bit, this seems apparently compared to Stroud's play last year and what he's doing this year. I mean, they're still at that 4 seed. Obviously, I can't see Baltimore at the 5 seed be in any way a dark horse. I think they're one of the favorites. I just don't think there is really. I mean, Denver is what they're at this point. I think that's. They shown kind of maximize their ability. I don't see anybody besides the top 3 teams, and in my opinion, that's KC, Buffalo, and Baltimore making a push at anything. So I don't really think there's going to be too much shakeup in the AFC this year. I think it's going to be par for the course. You got your MVPs, which Josh Allen will be this year, and Lamar Jackson and Mahomes, and they're the best in class. And I don't think there's too much room for upset or anything like that. I mean, Pittsburgh's sitting up top there, but like I said, I'm not a believer in them. I think the Pickens issues are going to hurt them, and I think they really get beat up by Philly today. So I think you're top three. You're top three.
NFC side of things, are we all thinking the Rams as a dark horse? If they get in, they can cause some damage, in my opinion. I really believe.
Yeah, that's my dark horse.
I'm officially in the fuck Cooper Cup fan club right this week.
So
am I, brother. So am I.
I mean, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, there's so many memes that came out that I was sent after that game the other night with him putting up a goose egg in the fantasy playoffs. I mean, I got him in 2 leagues. I'm in the playoffs and thankfully I got to buy in a couple other ones because it looks like I'm going to need them. But it's just like, wow,
Now, Green Bay can't jump to 3rd. Green Bay can only jump to 5th because it goes into the division winners. Wild card starts at 5.
Pretty deflating. Start your fantasy playoffs. Goose egg.
I mean, I think one of the teams. I don't think they're a dark horse because they're they're where they're at, and we talked about them a lot already. But the Washington team, right? It's going to be interesting to see what they do coming out of a bye against a New Orleans team where they could take care of business. This team's going to say, can they go on the road and win a game off of a bye where they should really show what they're made of? That's going to be key, because if they can, then they might have some ability to make a splash, even with Daniel's regression and everything like that. It's going to be interesting to see how they're focused coming out the bye, going to New Orleans, beating up a team, playing their backup to the backup quarterback, and even Taysom Hill's hurt. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Washington is for real, they come out and take care of business. If not, I think I think the one team that I kind of like a little bit, and it might be Tampa Bay. Baker being Baker in certain games is just as good as any quarterback in the NFC East. Or, the NFC. Now, for longevity speaking and everything like that, I don't think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. But it wouldn't surprise me if he had a game where he outperformed Jared Goff or outperformed Jalen Hurts. It's not surprising. So, I mean, if you look at that, outside of Stafford, who I think is a class above all the quarterbacks in the NFC, even at his age, even with his injuries, even with the O-line, because how he slings the ball, Baker could have one of them games where you're just like, wow, he hit Mike Evans for $150 and 2 touchdowns, or that kind of stuff. So, I think they're the team that can make a little bit of noise. I mean, you already see what they did to Philly last year in the playoffs. Philly's a bad matchup for them.
Would you say that it's close between Stafford and Goff from a tier standpoint, or would you say he's a class above him?
I mean, I think he's a class above right now, but Goff's closing that gap pretty good because how he's doing.
Okay.
Just the efficiency. Goff is doing a great job using the tools around him. You know what I'm saying? But listen, Matt Stafford's a first off the bus guy. It moves a little bit when he throws the ball down on them.
I agree with you.
That kind of stuff. Like Goff isn't going to give you that. And I know Tard's a big fan of ability and arm strength and everything like that. And what Stafford shows on the field with some of the passes. I mean, he still is a class above Goff, but Goff's doing a phenomenal job getting the ball where he needs to be, and just a different style of quarterback.
I agree. Yeah, I just think for me, what I always tend to, because I agree with you, because he has that, that running head that helps make things a lot easier. But his accuracy is always something that I've been always a fan of, because he's able to pinpoint his throws. But yeah, I agree with you on Stafford. I'm 1,000% with you.
A trade that actually worked and benefited
for both sides.
Clubs.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they won a championship.
Yeah.
I will say this: if Jordan Love gets some help from his receivers, they're a dangerous team too. They are. I mean, we're going to talk about them in a little bit. They haven't really lost anybody that much, right? We'll talk about who they lost to in a minute here, but
Brian, we also talk about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold be the guy in the postseason?
But
can he do that, dude? Because that defense is sneaky.
Yeah, but what's really good about the Steelers? That's me and the Vikings.
I agree.
I can't.
In 2 weeks, we might be talking about Minnesota being in first place, right?
I'm aware of that. Yeah,
the 1 seed overall, first place.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that. Yes,
very true. Very true.
I don't know. To me, it's just I'm not
ready
to term smoke and mirrors, but I get a lot of the vibe from a couple years ago when it was smoke and mirrors. Here's your current dirty dozen for the top of the draft. So when you look at this list, really, it's who are the teams that are in the quarterback market? And, Jacksonville did themselves no favors winning a game last week because that was a very valuable pick they could have traded down. But when you look here, the Raiders need a quarterback. The Giants need a quarterback. Tennessee could need a quarterback. The Jets, I don't know what they're going to do. Cleveland probably not. Chicago does not. Cincy does not. New Orleans does. Dallas does, but won't take one. It's going to be really interesting at the top of this draft. I think you're going to see some movement, and I think it might start with New England at 3, unless the Giants don't take a quarterback. But again, we'll see how things fall. But how does this look to you?
I think you missed a little bit with Cleveland not needing a quarterback. I mean, they can't love the quarterback situation. Well, but I mean, they need one. Just like Dallas needs one, they won't take one. So I mean, I think
I hate that they came out yesterday saying they're bringing everybody back.
I haven't seen the full list of quarterbacks coming out this year, but I mean, there's not a really great quarterback class. I mean, 3 off the bat that I know of: Ward, Sanders, and Beck. But
we said that last year though too.
The guy from Miami, isn't he coming out? Cam
Ward, yeah. Yep. That's definitely a Raiders pick.
Okay, well, let's talk about it, dude. Las Vegas right now. I mean, obviously, it's going to be quarterback, Brian. Shedeur Sanders looks like, there's a reason why he tweets every time they lose. So it looks like the connection with Brady is going to play a lot into that.
Yeah.
Let's just say he goes to Vegas. The Giants, I think it's going to be Hunter. It's going to be hard pressed for them to skip on that. Go get a free agent. We just talked about it already earlier in this segment. From there, from New England on, I mean, New England's not going to do it. Carolina's not going to do it. Jacksonville should do it, but they won't. Tennessee
should.
The Jets, I don't know about the Jets. The Jets need to trade back and get draft picks too. I don't know. I don't know what the Jets are going to do. They don't even have an owner, so I don't know. They're interviewing GMs as of yesterday, but I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. Yeah, can you really start Deshaun Watson next year? I can't.
I don't know if
I just think they've backed themselves into the corner.
The question that the gentleman had about Hunter, I like Hunter at 3. I think quarterbacks go 1, 2 in certain areas. I think Hunter in New England is the spark that they need as far as like superstar caliber. Fits a need. I mean, him and Gonzalez on the outside, that would be special because their pass defense is awful right now for whatever reason. But I mean, it's hard to say at this stage because there's so many times where you could, like the Giants need a quarterback. They might drop down. Cam Ward, Cam Ward or Beck they might like in their offense better, or somebody has a bad interview and next thing you know they're dropping down and people are up and taking quality linemen and that kind of stuff instead of quarterback needs. So I mean, Jets could definitely be a team that trades up though, if you think about it, trying to trade up to get one of those players.
To answer Eileen's question, I think Drake May might be the best quarterback in that draft. So I said that going in. I think that's still obviously on the table if they can get some pieces.
He's special. He's special.
Love that. I see a lot of Justin
Herbert. I think this quarterback class might go down as one of the best ones in the 2020s. I mean, it's Bo Nix is outshining. I think a lot of us weren't really high on him. If I don't want to put words in your guys' mouth, but I believe it was. Bo Nix wasn't really he looks. I'm not saying Drew Brees. I'm just saying he looks like he fits that Sean Payton system perfectly in his past 6 weeks. He looks good. Drake May looks good. Caleb Williams, I think, is still, he needs to have a guy that's going to help him, but I see talent in him like no other. And Jaden Daniels, that's 4 good guys right there. I mean, it's promising to see in the class.
I think after year 2, we'll know. You're seeing what's happened with Stroud right now. He's got a little struggles going on. I think after year 2, we'll see what these guys got, what these guys have.
To Josh's point, I think Tennessee can sit and wait and see what happens. Like they don't have to take a quarterback, but they can if one falls to them, or if they get an offer they can't refuse. Like they're not going in with a preset. We have to take a quarterback. Like there's teams that do. not saying Levis is the guy either, right? But I think that you can,
Well, they have to address that pass rush too. That's disappearing.
Yeah, that defense in this. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, I'm not a Levis has showed some sparks later in the season. That's what happened with a lot of these guys, and I tell you, it makes the GM's job really difficult. I mean, you have a team in Jacksonville that's 3-10, but now all of a sudden, Will Levis wants to start playing good football.
Agree.
And now you're kind of like reevaluating, and it's just like, well, but hold on, but he's still the same 3-10 team that got you there. So, and I'm a strong believer. You got to give these guys a chance to develop. I'm not a huge fan of the quarterback class last year. Not a big Penix fan, not a big Knicks fan. I like McCarthy because of his accuracy, but I think he has potential. So I think him sitting in Darnold, that helps. I was a Drake May fan. I had him too behind Caleb Willis, who everybody said was all world, which I think was a little hyperbole. And I wasn't big on Jaden Daniels, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But the one thing these guys got to do is they got to let the quarterbacks develop. And Will Levis they invested in, and at least they're giving them a chance to develop. And
I agree.
That's key.
Quick into the guys. It kind of how like back in the 2000s, like probably 2010s. Remember everything was like build around the quarterback and build like draft the quarterback first and build around him. This and that. Do you guys ever feel like the tide is kind of switching? Where it's like, let's build around the trenches, around the perimeter players, and then let's just plug a quarterback in. I really think that Brock Purdy, I know that was a lightning in a bottle, but I think that type of, that type of like mentality and strategy that goes into building teams, it's benefited these teams where you have the players you need, where you could just input a quarterback in that could be semi-productive and be a winner.
Well, you're right, because they were wrong. They were wrong because they're wrong in two facets, right? So you look at how the Texans started when they threw Derek or David Carr, whichever one it was, to the Lions. Look at how Tim Couch turned out. Like, these guys are actually really good quarterbacks. They just got the shit beat out of them and couldn't recover. And you look at some of the greatest teams in the last how many years, right? Anthony's a Bears fan. The 85 Bears defense, it wasn't about Jim McMahon, right? The dominating Giants teams, it wasn't about Eli and it wasn't about Phil Simms. It was about their defense.
The Ravens
running the ball. San Fran has been doing it with running the ball. I mean, the guys like Patrick Mahomes and them guys that could just be magicians and carry a team on their back, and Josh Allen, who's carrying a team on their back right now, like they're few and far between. So it makes sense to you build your O-line and your D-line, and then you give the opportunity for these.
Well, the Lions did a great job. It kind of benefited them. It benefited with the trade, but they still had the pieces there where they needed to draft, and
right.
They made Sewell and Frank Ragnow and all those guys
and Hutchinson.
Listen,
right?
Hutchinson.
The Eagles have been doing it for years. When Andy Reid started with the Eagles, that's the first thing he did was build an offensive and defensive line. The Eagles have been doing it for years, and they're consistently successful. There's teams in this league that do it, and they're consistently successful.
Look what the Chiefs are doing after they lost to Tampa Bay. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, and they built the offensive line and made the offensive line a lot better for Patrick Mahomes and improved that defense minorly, and they were winning games. But Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to be a superstar.
But here's the other point of this, right, Drew? They're drafting quarterbacks who want to build around the quarterbacks, but they're not giving the quarterbacks time to develop.
Yeah, I agree.
So they're judging these quarterbacks like we talked about Trevor Lawrence, who he could have been a phenomenal player. It hasn't really turned out how people expect based on his talent. But what we need to see is if he had a team built around him first, or like these other guys too, like like some of these guys that are retreads, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, these guys, they weren't given good teams to step into and play with, and then they weren't allowed time to grow and develop. Look at the kid from the Jets, Wilson.
Zach Wilson,
yeah.
He was the youngest player in the draft, and it was not really, and was throwing around a bad team for the most part. I mean, that same team is 3-10 with Aaron Rodgers. So the kids, he
was better, bro. He had 5 wins.
Yeah, I know. So it's like you're drafting these kids, but a lot of it's the regime too, right? Anthony's seen it firsthand with Justin Fields out the door quick because of a new regime, and that's not who they want. That's what we got opportunity Caleb Williams. you're not giving these guys the chance. So, like, why commit to building everything around them if you're not going to commit to them and make them successful?
But,
You're not giving them the tools.
To that point, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's all
if I
good.
cut you off.
That's
To that point, I love what the Carolina Panthers did, though. I love what Dave Canales did because it was kind of a blessing in disguise. But Andrew, I hate to say that because he got in a car wreck, but I mean the whole Bryce Young situation. Look how much better he's playing this past month. I mean, he's using the tools. These throws that he was making against Kansas City guys were top pro level throws. That a lot of quarterbacks.
Eagles yesterday. That was that deep post that he hit Xavier Legette on. That should have been a game winner.
Your Brian, you need to quote this. Put in your piece when you write your paper what Quig said because it's right on the money.
No one reads that fucking paper.
It's right on the. I like it though. It's right on the money, dude. It's saying you need time to develop these quarterbacks in order for them to shine in the NFL because we give up so quick, and that was my whole point, Brian, was to say these things because you get in these drafts all the time and you make the mistake of like the Vegas Raiders. They have a lot of holes. You really think Shedeur Sanders is going to fix that team right away? No, you need to develop him because I watched college football the most ever in my life this year. And I'm not a really big fan of what he was able to. He's good from me watching quarterbacks, but I'm not going, oh my God, this is like, you know what I'm saying? Like this, I need to see more. So that's why I brought up the point what I wanted to bring up. So that's all.
I think people that don't read the paper just don't know how to read, and that's nothing I can really help with.
I'll just real quick. I was gonna touch on Carolina. They're probably they're in the best position out of anyone on this list, probably because of how Young has played. I mean, I'm sure it's taken a little weight off their shoulders.
1,000%.
Shoulders. Now knowing they have a capable quarterback, so they're in a good position to move around.
I think there's still a story still out on him, though. I mean, I wasn't
yeah.
I didn't like the pick. I think he has a lot of things that just don't translate well to the NFL. Started off awful, playing a little bit better now, like the Will Levis situation. Now he's playing good, and now Carolina's not in the quarterback market. But they really didn't have any choice to kind of throw him out there because they're going to have a big egg on their face. With how Stroud was playing and some of these other younger quarterbacks are playing. So give him credit though, because he is stepping up and playing a lot better.
I agree.
It's good to hear that the Hamilton Gazette has one subscriber in California. You've been reading my articles, Drew?
Send it to me. Send it to me, brother. I want to read them.
I
have a lot of time on my hands to be on a desk.
I've been writing for that paper for 20 years about. I won't put my name on it. I won't put my name on the articles though. I have too much class.
Anonymous.
I have no class at all, so I put my name large as possible to annoy as many people as I possibly can. We'll get to the slate of games, and we'll start with one that has absolutely no relevance to anything, and that's the 5-8 Cowboys at the 3-10 Panthers, who are laying 3, and they are favorites for the first time in forever. At a home game here, the over-under is 43. Dallas allows 11.4 fewer points per game on the road than at home because I guess they don't like playing in front of a live studio audience. Carolina is minus 8 point differential the last 5 games, minus $1.47 the first 8. So the defense has really turned things around for the Carolina Panthers. Not a lot to say here. Does anybody care?
Of course you care. I mean, how do you not care? We just talked about Bryce Young's development.
Yes.
Listen, we're going to see how Bryce Young fits against, Micah Parsons and the boys coming at him full steam. I mean, it's a little bit different. He's not going to see that pass rush that he had in Philly, which wasn't really there. I mean,
nope.
He's going to be under live fire now. I mean, Cowboys have some injuries, and if we were talking about this game in September and you told me the Cowboys would be 3-point dogs going into Carolina, I'd be even more perplexed. I still am a little perplexed about this line, but Carolina's playing a lot better. Cowboys don't need to win. Probably shouldn't win, but they probably will win because they probably shouldn't win. So that's just kind of how it is. I think Dallas defense makes a play here or there, and they probably win the game to begrudge our draft pick. But we'll see. Cowboys have been a lot better against the run. Chuba Hubbard has showed some life, along with the Bryce Young emergence. But I like the Cowboys.
Yeah, not much for me here on this game. A couple things I like. I actually like both running backs today. I like Dowdle and I like I like Hubbard. I think both defenses are pretty weak on the run. Give me both running backs today. I like them both. I'm going to go both over 80 yards. I like Dowdle to score and sneaky Adam Thielen touchdown plus 225.
Yeah, man. Give me Jake Ferguson. I think Jake Ferguson's going to have a nice little game today. Carolina's defense is not that great against tight ends this year. We talked about a little bit on the blitz. No Trayvon Diggs. He's out for the rest of the year, getting surgery, and I think that's going to open up a little bit doors for Bryce Young to throw on that side. There's going to replace him. And from a future standpoint, to talk about anything, it's going to be an interesting offseason for Dallas. Looks like a lot of players are reining in Mike McCarthy to come back, which is kind of shocking to me a little bit. But overall standpoint, I'm interested to see what Dallas is going to do with Zach Martin. I know that I believe is this his final year on his contract? I believe, or is he going to?
He's done. He's done.
He's done.
Yeah,
okay,
he's done.
so
future in Dallas is done no matter what he decides to do. I think he retires. To be honest with you.
Okay.
The regression in play coupled with the injury, I mean, it just seems he just doesn't have it for whatever reason, unless there was something else going on mentally in the back of things that we're not aware of. But I mean, just
the biggest thing for me, Brian and Quig, I know you guys are Cowboy fans, is that the whole Dak situation. I know that's going to be talked about. I know that's going to be the contract and all that stuff is going to be talked about. The draft is coming up. Can Dallas make a move up to get a quarterback? They're going to say a lot of things in the offseason. I want to see what they're going to do. I want to see what they're going to do overall and how they're going to be able to function as a team and as a unit, whether they're going to bring back Mike or not and fix it. Because I still think there's, like Quick alluded to a couple weeks ago before we went on our break, was the Cowboys still have talent coming into 2025. So it's not like the NFC is like a bottom door where you need to be all good to make the playoffs. You don't. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys are going to do from that standpoint.
It is troubling that and I'll give McCarthy credit because I don't really like doing that. But he's kind of been forced to change the offense a little bit with rush, running the ball a little bit more, which is kind of crazy. And the team's playing hard for him. The defense is playing hard for him. I mean, before that was a tie ball game. Only giving up 20 points to that Bengals offense that everybody thought was going to, and then, freaking Bart Simpson hits Lisa Simpson on a 40-yard, dash to the end zone. And it was, it was a different story. But yeah, like you're looking at, a team that's playing hard for the coach. And I'm hoping that still is the end of McCarthy. But, you could kind of see Jerry giving him an out on that.
I asked Roman Reigns about bringing back McCarthy, and that's what he had to say. Anyway, Cowboys stink. The 12-1 Chiefs visiting the 3-10 Cleveland Browns, laying just 4.5. The over-under is 41.5. KC 10-0 in one possession games. It's the most such wins in the Kansas City Chiefs history. For the Browns, one bright spot is that Myles Garrett is a half a sack away from being the fourth fastest player since 1982 to reach 100 sacks in their career. Drew, first question.
Hold on. Speaking of sacks, I don't. Before we go dive into his game, did you see the Mark Gastineau confront Brett Favre clip?
Yeah.
Like, I respect Gastineau for doing that because that was such a bitch move by Strahan. I mean, it was, and by
Strahan or by Favre?
What's that?
By Strahan or by Favre?
By both of them.
Both of them.
By both of them. Because remember they talked about it before.
Yeah.
They had a conversation about it and all this other bullshit. That just shows you the difference between an athlete in the 80s that played his friggin' heart out. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, Klecko and Gastineau and going crazy about them guys and everything like that, causing havoc, the New York Sack Exchange and all that fun stuff. And you see like a guy who it meant something to him. Like,
oh yeah, man.
Well, it takes the value off of his card.
It's different, and it was really really eye opening to see. Like somebody who plays with care and passion, as opposed to some of the guys today who are worrying about each other's agents and paydays and that kind of shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I didn't even know who he was. I'm gonna be real with you, dude. I didn't know who he was until I saw the clash.
Well, Drew, how old are you?
34.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way before your time. You probably, you're like, talking about starting watching football in the early 90s, probably.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, Drew,
what a baby.
Brett Favre's a piece of
baby.
shit.
Who should I start a quarterback today? Patrick Mahomes or Jared Goff?
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
It's bad weather.
That's easy.
Bad weather.
I'm just asking.
That's easy.
Bad
Make
weather.
sure
Have you not seen how the Browns been playing? They've been playing with a lot of heart. So I really want to mess with that, dude. And obviously Patrick Mahomes has not been the same this year because of the lack of talent around him and this and whatever the case may be from the offensive side. But yeah, Brian, I go Jared Goff. And I got the Chiefs win this game, obviously, 13-1. Looks like I really don't see a case, fellas, where the Chiefs are going to get away from the 1 seed. It looks like it's theirs for the taking, right? Especially after that Buffalo loss last week. I really don't see a team really overtaking them at the number 1 spot, which all roads will lead to Arrowhead and make it to the promised land. So another notch for Andy Reid and company, dude.
Yeah, I think
they play the Broncos one more time, and I really think it's an easy schedule for them these next 4 weeks, starting today.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The Chiefs aren't covering. I'm taking the Browns at home plus. I'll take the plus 4.5. I think it's going to be a sloppy game. I'm watching right now. The weather's going to be it's going to be really windy, rainy.
Brian,
go ahead.
Bill Belichick did in fact call the Jets. They were trying to set up a meeting between Bill and owner Woody Johnson. He was denied.
So that's what? How many owners denied him already? 2, 3?
A lot, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah. So he knew he wasn't getting a job this year.
Yep, 1,000% it.
I mean, I think the thing with Belichick is he's, maybe people remember him as his Cleveland days, right? No, I don't think he really endeared himself with a lot of things he did as a coach and GM and everything in New England anyway. So I don't think people are really, with him being out of touch and everything like that with today's NFL, which people think, and being exposed a little bit by Brady going down there winning a championship in Tampa. It kind of shows, the godlike scenario that Bill Belichick had on the entire NFL and the Patriot way. Well, the Patriot way has failed pretty much everywhere it's gone since Belichick left and since. Well, actually,
say it again one more time. Say it again one more time. Say it again one more time. Say it again one more time.
The Patriot way has failed. So,
Thank you, Josh McDaniels.
Since Brady left,
one Bill Belichick though, Drew. There's only one Bill Belichick. You can't.
Was in high school, dude. The Romeo Crennels, the Charlie Whitehurst in Notre Dame. None of it's worked. None of it's worked. Eric Mangini.
So why?
There doesn't work, dude. His coaching tree is shit, and I hate when people bring it up. Andy Reid's coaching tree is far superior than Bill Belichick. It's that simple.
It's not Andy Reid's coaching tree. That's Bill Walsh's coaching tree.
Bill Walsh. I'm sorry, but I'm talking about for coordinators underneath Andy Reid. That's all.
And then homeroom, listen, and the other thing, the funniest thing is North Carolina gave Bill Belichick's son the next head coaching job already. That was part of the deal. So, I mean, talking about the Bill Belichick tree, it's going to continue at least one more year in down to North Carolina where his son's going to be the head coach. I don't know.
Get that Jumpman money, Tone. Get that Jumpman money in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be, Jumpman, and I mean, the NIL. Listen, it's no surprise that Oregon is where they're at now, being called Nike University for so long. So.
Yep.
We have 28 minutes to get through 14 games. This is going to be fun.
All right, we
got to do it.
All right, Bengals and Titans doesn't mean at all, but it's 5-8 versus 3-10. Since he's laying 6, 46.5 is the number. Burrow's got 250 and three or more touchdowns each of the last 5 games. The Titans are just a very interesting defensive structure because they allow the fewest yards per game, second fewest yards per game, but yet the 6th most points. The Bengals are probably out of it by now, the way things are going. They probably should, though, win today.
Over in this game, Burrow continues a 250 and 3 touchdown streak.
Yeah,
Tony Pollard hits 1,000 yards with his 65 yards on the ground today.
There you go. Yeah, I'm laying the points with Cincinnati -6 today. I'm riding Joe Burrow's hot streak here. I agree with Tony. 250 today for Joe Burrow. Sticking with Jamar Chase, 8 touchdowns in the last 4 games. That's pretty ridiculous. Like Tony Pollard also today in the end zone, you're getting a little bit of plus money on that. So give me that.
Nothing to say here more than the fact that I'm taking the Bengals to win this game, and it's going to be a tight one, Brian. But I think the Bengals will pull it out because I still give respect to Titans defense to a certain standpoint. Pollard's hurt, so watch out, managers, to put in to might have Tajee Spears on the hotline just in case. For bet wise, I mean for future wise, I'm really interested. I think this is going to be a tryout these next 4 weeks, boys, on T. Higgins. And see where T. Higgins is going to land the offseason. He's going to be the most coveted free agent in the NFL because we already know that you can't franchise tag him.
You know how much money he cost me Monday night, Drew?
I know. I'm sorry, brother. And but I do want to say something, guys. Jamar Chase, how much are they going to pay him? That's going to be interesting in the offseason.
They fucked up. They should have paid him. Now they're going to pay him more.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Brock Purdy is seeking a contract that's at the top of the quarterback market.
Oh, yeah, I see. I knew. Brian, I'm telling you, he better not. I'm telling you right now, dude, because it's going to be San Francisco's going to cut bait. It ain't going to happen.
Max money. His agent's never going to take a deal. His agent's not going to take that deal.
Quick update on the game that we just had. Cleveland game. David Njoku is out today.
Yep.
Ooh.
3 and 10.
Tajee Spears plus 450 to score a touchdown today.
8-5 Commanders off the bye at the 5-8 Saints. Washington's laying 7.5. 44 is the number. Washington has an 87% chance to make the playoffs with a win, just 59 if they lose. Saints are 3-1 since giving Darren Rizzi the interim head coaching tag, but 0-3 without Derek Carr, who is not playing today. Commanders need to get a win to just try their best to get in with the Rams breathing down their necks.
I'll go here. I'm gonna drop the point. I'm gonna take the Commanders with the -6.5. I love Terry McLaurin today. I think he's gonna get in the end zone for a touchdown. I like him over 60 yards. Also, Brian Robinson in the end zone, and that's about it.
Yeah, give me the Commanders today. Nothing really much to talk about. I like Darren Rizzi as an intern head coach, though. His antics are hilarious on the sidelines. But other than that, man, we've seen the last of Derek Carr as a New Orleans Saint. He'll be looking for a new quarterback next year.
Yeah, like I said earlier about this game, this is a Commanders show me game, right? You want to see what they come out off a bye. It's going to have to be something that if they come out there and they don't look good or they struggle, I don't have really much faith in this team long term. But if they come out there and take care of business like they're supposed to be, like they looked at against Tennessee, right? They looked phenomenal, and this should be a similar case. So if that's that team that shows up, then Washington could have make a little sneaky run for it at the end of the season.
The 8-5 Baltimore Ravens have the largest line of the day by a country mile as a 16.5 point favorite over the 2-11 New York Giants. 42.5 the number. Lamar Jackson's 23-2 against the NFC. One of those losses came to the Giants in 2022. Giants have lost 8 straight since their win in Week 5 over the Seattle Seahawks. Tells you both about the Seahawks. Look, Ravens win, Giants lose. What more do you want to talk about in this game? If the Ravens lose this game, it's going to be very, very
tough. Yeah, I mean, it's even tough for props and fantasy managers because you don't really know how this game's going to play out. If it's a blowout, guys aren't going to be getting their touches. Are they going to run the ball more? So I'm looking at it today in this game, a Justice Hill touchdown. I think he's going to get a late touchdown, and that's going to be my play in this game today.
Little cleanup duty. Yeah, I would stay away from any yards-based props in this one.
Yeah.
Somehow, I mean, can the Giants even cover this? I mean, that's a huge number, and I mean, most teams don't cover these kind of numbers. But I like Derrick Henry 2 touchdowns to give you plus money.
Okay.
Something like that. And then it takes him out of the game. But I wouldn't play around too much with this game. I'm not touching that big number, but I'm taking Derrick Henry for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, real quick for me, man. I took the Baltimore's defense in fantasy. It's one of the most streaming defenses to take in this week. And are you wearing a Baltimore jersey?
No, Randy.
No, this is from Randy Moss. Best wishes to
Oh
Randy.
man, most respect. That's dope, dude.
Jersey on.
I haven't seen an '84 Vikings jersey in so long. But yeah, shout out to Randy Moss and what he's going through. Yeah, man, Brian, I'm taking Baltimore here. Lamar Jackson. I'm taking the over on 2.5 on Prize Picks for touchdowns. I think it's gonna be a big day for Baltimore today.
In the pit of misery game, the 3-10 Jets and the 3-10 Jags. Jets laying 3 in a hook, 41's the number. The Jets have not made the playoffs in 14 consecutive years. That's the longest active drought in the NFL. They're going to make it 15 this year. For Jacksonville, Mac Jones 5-0 against the Jets, but that was while he was a New England Patriot. He is not a New England Patriot today. He is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and they are not good. So this game will not be shown anywhere outside of the Jacksonville and New York viewing areas because nobody cares.
Jacksonville, horrible pass defense. Riding with the Jets wide receivers in this game, Wilson and Devontae Adams, both plus money here to get touchdowns, plus 140, plus 150. I like those guys today to do it up against the Jags in this one. I think it's going to be close. I would take that half point and take the Jags at plus 3.5.
Yeah, give me Jags, give me 3.5. I do like Devontae Adams. It seems like Rodgers been throwing the ball a little bit all over the place. Breece Hall is back, but laying the 3.5 is a little difficult. Evan Ingram out for the year. Mm-hmm. His backup when he played, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank of his name.
Strange.
Brendan Strange, that's right.
Yeah.
He was actually pretty good. So anytime touchdown from him today might be some decent odds.
Plus 340, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think he has a good shot getting the end zone. I think he had a touchdown in one of his backup roles again, and we'll see it there. But Brian Thomas should have a big game too against the Jets.
Last of the 1 p.m. games have the Dolphins in Houston. Houston's -3, 46.5 is the number. Miami 1-4 against teams at winning records, 5-3 against teams that are 500 or worse. Houston can clinch the AFC South with a win today and a Colts loss in Denver. Miami's hanging on by a thread. I don't know that. Let's put it this way: they absolutely must have this win today if they intend to do anything as far as trying to sneak in. I don't think that's in the cards.
I think the Texans are kind of like in the Commanders' boat, like Tony was talking about. They're coming off a bye. They were struggling a little bit, haven't been playing well. So I'm interested to see how the Texans come out today. What I'm looking at in this game, I like the over in this game. I think this is going to hit today. Tua's been on a roll. He's been playing really well with Hill and A-Chain. So, I'm rolling with the over on this one today. And a Jonnu Smith touchdown. Been very involved. You're getting at plus 210.
See, hold on. Very involved. He didn't have a catch until overtime. He's been a stud. Don't get me wrong. You're right. He's been a stud. But he had one catch for a touchdown and then overtime. Like all of a sudden that was like the only guy he threw to for 8 straight plays. But it was kind of crazy because he had a freaking goose egg. I am benching Jonnu Smith today because I have McBride. But we'll get to that later. But I like the over in this game. But here's the problem: looking at these two teams, Stroud, Nico Collins, Mixon, Dolphins offense that we're already talking about. This should be 50-50.5, shouldn't it?
True.
And that's
at least 48. At least 48.
Houston hasn't been the Houston offense today, but it should be. So I'm going to be pessimistic because no one likes to bet unders, right? So I think this game does hit the over. I think we do see these quarterbacks step up, and I'm with my guy Nico Collins for over 100 yards at plus 125. So that's what I'm hitting on.
To the afternoon where the games matter a lot more. This is a big one. 6-7 Colts at 8-5 Broncos. Denver laying 4.5. 43.5 is the number. Indy is the 8 seed of the AFC, as we talked about earlier. They thrill 3 8-5 teams. They got to get a win today. For Denver, since week 5, Bo Nix ranks top 10 in wins, touchdown interception ratio, quarterback passer rating, and total touchdowns. He has been really, really good. This would pretty much, I think, sink the Colts with a loss. This is, I think, the biggest home game for Denver probably in 8 years since 2016. They've really turned things around. This is a spot you got to win. It is a winnable game against a team with not a lot of passing talent at the quarterback position. Denver should win and cover.
Oh man, I'm taking the Colts here to +3.5, the +4.5. I think this is going to be a closer game. Richardson has been playing better. They got to if they could get Jonathan Taylor going. I think they could slow this game down. I'm going to take the Colts +4.5 here. I think it's going to be a close game. Anthony Richardson though may be tapping out early because of the high altitude in Denver. Just
listen, that's insane, especially what happened with San Francisco the other day. With their linebacker just walking off. But I mean,
several NFL GMs view Travis Hunter as a corner who will see time at wide receiver. He will only play cornerback and rarely touch the offensive field.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what most people are expecting. Listen, it's the modern day NFL, right? Where Charles Woodson and Deion Sanders aren't playing no more, because you know why they wouldn't play both ways anymore? I mean, I don't know. Those guys are old school, so it's hard to say for them. They're not getting paid to play wide receiver.
Uh-huh.
These guys would want wide receiver contract and a cornerback contract if they to play wide receiver. Just like some of the tight ends that catch passes, they want to be slotted as a wide receiver, so they're in different. I mean, that's the union and everything like that nonsense. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that Travis Hunter plays very rare. I mean, look how much Taysom Hill got paid.
Yeah.
For what? And because he was one of the ones that wanted slotted. So like these position slots and everything like that, like. It's weird, but yeah, he's definitely a corner. So we'll see. I don't know if he's the best cornerback in the draft though. My man in mission has a very, very good argument for that. Will Johnson.
Who we like?
Broncos win this game. I don't like them to cover though. I think this is going to be an interesting game. That defense will have to do something. I mean, Johnny Taylor and the Colts have a little bit better running game, so it's going to be whatever quarterback wins it with their legs, and because Nick's going to go out there and running, it'll be. I'll take the Colts +4.5. I think they do keep it close.
This one's a biggie. 10-3 Bills, 12-1 Lions. Detroit laying 2.5, 54.5 is the number. Buffalo has scored 30+ points each of their last 7 games. That's the longest streak in franchise history. Detroit has never won 13 games in a season. They are 1 win short of that, so they probably will this year. I think I read somewhere that this is like the most wins after week 13 of anything in like the longest time. This should be a biggie. It's a game where I don't know who do you think needs it more, actually? That's actually a good question. I'll start there.
I think it's the Lions. They have Minnesota right on their heels, right? I think they play with them. They play Minnesota next week, right? Or the week after.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they finished Minnesota. Last year is Minnesota.
What's that?
They finished with Minnesota's, I think, the last game of the year for them.
Yeah, last game, yep.
So so you're looking at a team that like you don't want to drop a game here and then have to go and make that Minnesota game a must-win game when you've been cruising all season. So this is a big game for the Lions. It's a big step up. I think the Bills where they're at. I mean, if they drop this game on the road to Lions, not that big of a deal. It doesn't really change much, overall as far as like the perception of their team. But Detroit at home is where they're playing, Eileen. And I think it's a good thing for them to kind of continue to stamp, because I think they need some positive momentum going into finishing the season strong.
For me, real quick, man. This Quig's right on the money. Lions need to win, Brian. They need to separate themselves from Minnesota as much as they can. They also need to separate themselves as much as they can from Philly. So this is gonna be a tough stretch. I love this time of the year, and but obviously the Bills needed to, bro. But if I had to pick, I picked the Lions. But Bills needed to. They need it really bad because if there's anything they would want is for teams to go through Buffalo in order for them to win the whole thing. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go Detroit here. I'm going Detroit with the win. and they're just. If I had to pick a team besides the Chargers to win the Super Bowl, I would love to see the city of Detroit win it. So we'll see what they can do.
This game, there's so much you could do in this game, betting wise, props wise, touchdown wise. So I mean, right now I'm rolling with Detroit. I think Detroit's going to oppose their will today with their running game against this Bills team. They're going to try to slow the game down. I could see a big Gibbs game. I like Gibbs today, over 70 yards, a touchdown. I'll give both running backs a touchdown. I think that's how Detroit's going to attack this game today. I think Campbell's going to want to come out and just try to roll the Bills. So, yeah, give me Detroit. I'll take the -2.5 here.
And rolling Bills is definitely something Campbell knows a little bit about. You can see that in his press conferences. But anyway,
love the gambler.
Listen, I just want to see a great game. This is a great matchup.
Yeah.
To the top tier. Don't give me a friggin' dud. I thought the game Thursday night, even though the rain came in, I thought that was going to be a much better game, you know, with some offensive plays. I think that like I said, with the Dolphins and Texans game, we expect some offense and some high talent in that game. This game is the game of the week we should see all that, right? Indoors, no bad weather. Let's see Goff sling it. Let's see Sun God get busy. Let's see James Cook and you know, these guys make plays. That's just what I just want to see, some fun, good football. You know, fantasy world deserves it.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Pennsylvania matchup: 10-3 Steelers, Eagles 11-2. Eagles are 5.5-point favorites at home. 43 is the number. Pittsburgh gets into playoffs with a win or losses by the Colts and Dolphins. The Eagles are 10-0 at home against the Steelers in the Super Bowl era. There is no George Pickens today for the Steelers. Jalen Hurts threw for 108 yards last week. That's generally not good. There's talk of the passing game is not up to snuff, which is code for quarterback's not very good. Thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna roll the Eagles today. I'm gonna go with the -5.5, and that's basically, and I'm basing this on the way the Eagles defense is playing. I don't see the way I don't know how Steelers are really gonna move the ball today with no Pickens as a threat. I think it's gonna be tough for them. So I'm gonna take the Eagles. I'm gonna take the -5.5 here. Give me the Birds, and I'll jump on all these AJ Brown props. I'll be a sucker. Give me the over for 5.5. Give me some yardage. Give me a touchdown. I'll be that guy.
Yeah, I'm staying away from Pittsburgh in this game at all. I'm not even touching them. This is going to be a Philly running heavy type of game today. Take the Barkley over. He's at 100.5 right now. I'll take the over on that. I'll take the over on his carries. And you know, I'm not really looking for Jalen Hurts to have a big passing game as usual. We'll just stick with the rushing. And it's going to be a trench game, and I'm definitely going Philly when it comes to the trenches. So go Philly.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the Eagles win and cover this pretty handily. I mean, I think this is a game where Philadelphia is just overall a better team. The continuity, obviously, that's in question between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and this, that, and that thing. And yeah, and you're saying you're going to be a sucker with the A.J. Brown props. His numbers still aren't crazy, right? I think it's over 90 is when you get plus money,
they've come down week by week.
So it's not. I don't know. As much as the South Jersey Cowboys fan would like to see the Eagles just nosedive for 2 years in a row like they did last year, I mean, I don't think that's the case today against Pittsburgh, unless something really implodes. I think Philly wins. I think Philly covers. 4:00 game in Philadelphia. The crowd's already out there tailgating.
Look out!
My entire freaking field is. You know, every social media just says, you know, drunken Eagles fans already at, you know, by 10 o'clock in the morning. So I think it's going to be a crazy place for Steelers to play. And I without Pickens, the offense that the Steelers are going to put out there isn't good. Give me Calvin Austin props, though. I think Calvin Austin has the hits.
The 3-10 New England Patriots at the 6-7 Cardinals, who are laying 6 at home. 46 is the number. Drake May, the 5th quarterback ever with 1,500 plus passing yards, 10 plus touchdowns, and 300 plus rushing yards in his first 8 career starts. Arizona's 4-0 against teams under 500, 2-7 over 500, which means they should win today, as the line would indicate. Arizona probably needs this win to stay in the playoff hunt. Pats are probably trying to tank as much as possible for as high a pick as they can get. That is a recipe, which means the Cardinals win this game.
Yeah, for me, man, I was just looking at this game. I really don't care. Let's go New England here for the win. I'm just going to go out in the dark and just say give Drake May and this defense and this offense some love, and let's see what they can do at Arizona. Arizona's been bushwhacked last week, get absolutely destroyed against Seattle, and Zach Charbonnet running all over them. I see a recipe for success moving forward with this team. James Conner heard Quig's complaints 2 weeks ago and finally scored a freaking touchdown, which I didn't need against me last week in fantasy. But yet there it is, and there's life. Kyler Murray is playing down below his level that we thought that he was going to be, finally foregoing his demons. Call of Duty must be calling him back. And, at the end of the day, dude, Arizona had his chance. They were in the lead just 3 weeks ago. And now they shot themselves in their own dicks, and now they can't do shit now. So I'm going New England here. I'm going to go Drake May, and we'll see. Remember, Mayo's coaching for his life here these next 4 weeks. So we'll see what he's able to do with the New England Patriots today. But I'm going New England's my upset today.
I'm on the other side firmly against you there, Drew. I think the Patriots defense
Love you, buddy.
Too many points. I think they give too many points, and this Cardinals team is a team that really hasn't figured it out too often. What they are. Once they look like a power running game team, and they're establishing the run, and they're this and they're that, and next thing you know, they are the team that they showed last week. I think the Patriots put up points in them, but I think this is going to be a high scoring game, as the 46 points in this game really as over under is very telling. I like Kyler Murray to have a big game today. I think this Patriots defense gives up some big plays. Maybe the ghost of Marvin Harrison Jr. Shows up, because he shows up every now and then. I do like Arizona to beat up a bad team, and as Brian put up that stat, Arizona is good against bad teams. It's the teams that are good that they really struggle with, So what was it, 4-0 versus teams under 500? Yeah, there you go. So I like Arizona. I'll lay the points. I like the over. I like Kyler Murray to have a big game.
Yeah, not much there. Same thing. I like the over in this game. Sneaky touchdown. He hit a parlay for me last week. Michael Wilson plus 220 on the touchdown.
Michael Wilson, absolutely. I like. You know what Kyler Murray feels like, and I don't know if you Philly fans, whatever, get this. He's like a Bobby Abreu, right? They'll be down. They'll be down 8. Listen, the Phillies would be down 8-0, and Bobby Abreu would hit a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 8th, and it'd be completely meaningless, And then or he'll draw a walk and he'll steal a base when they're down by 4. And at the end of the year, he has 30-30 season. He's also catching the ball and then sliding after he catches it, like make it look like a spectacular play. That's what Kyler Murray feels to me. You know what I'm saying? He's going to go out there. He'll get 4 touchdowns today against the Chiefs. And at the end of the year, he'll pile on his stats and then he had a pretty good season. Well, so we'll see about you see what that.
Oh my God! Of all the times you hear Bobby Abreu comparison to Kyler Murray is great.
7-6 Bucks at Drew's 8-5 Chargers, who are laying 2 and a hook. 45.5 is the number. Mayfield in 3 opportunities has never beaten the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers have allowed 20 or fewer points in 11 games this year. That is the most in the NFL. Drew, floor is yours.
Man, this game is going to be fun, dude. I can't wait to watch it today. Obviously, from selfish standpoints, but also just from fantasy as well. Tampa's defense, I believe, is 30th or 29th in total defense. They are not a good team whatsoever defensively. Justin Herbert should have his heyday this year. This is going to be his biggest game from a fantasy standpoint, in my opinion. I hope Ladd can play. We're still waiting on game time decision, but if not, look out for a guy named Stone Smart. Showed up last week against Kansas City, came in for tight end for Will Dissly. He should be able to be a dog today. Runs crisp routes. I was pissed off that TT released him last year. Glad he got brought back. Going Chargers today, boys. Obviously, they need the win. But I think Baker's going to. I think Baker is going to go back to what Baker was against this defense. I think Chargers are going to put it on him. Chargers for the win, boys.
Wow. I mean, I can see it happening. It's not far-fetched. I think these are very evenly matched teams. Just going to see what quarterback performs. Is McConkey playing today?
Game time decision.
Game timer.
I think that could. I mean, that sways the thing. I mean, Rashad White had a great game last year. Bucky Irvin's still banged up. I don't know about the Chargers running game though. I mean, I do have questions about it, right? I mean, it just does. I just don't think that the Chargers have enough on offense. I'll take the Bucks. Give me the 2.5.
I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with the Chargers here. I'm gonna roll with the Chargers. Give me the 2.5. I like Quentin Johnson touchdown. He's getting a good rapport here with Herbert. So yeah, give me the Chargers.
I do have Quentin Johnson in some daily fantasy leagues, which is
there you go.
Wait all day for Sunday night in the Pacific Northwest. Packers 9-4, Seahawks 8-5. Packers on the road laying 2.5. 46.5 is the over/under there. Green Bay is 9-1 against teams that are not named the Minnesota Vikings or the Detroit Lions. That one loss came week 1 in Brazil to the Eagles. For Seattle, the home team has won the last 10 matchups between these two teams, including the playoffs. If the playoffs started today, this exactly would be your matchup. I really like Green Bay in this game. I do not. I think Seattle's playing a bit ahead of themselves. I don't know if Kenny Walker is even healthy. Charbonnet's fine.
He's not playing.
He's not playing.
Walker's out.
I think Green Bay gets a win here. I think that they just have a little too much offensively.
I spoke about the Seahawks before. I think they're a sneaky team. I'm going to take the home dog here today. I'm going to give them a plus 120 on the money line. Give me JSN. He's been smoking teams the last month or two. So and the Seahawks defense has improved, and I'm not convinced Jordan Love's not going to throw an interception or two today. So give me the Seahawks at home on the money line plus 120.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Tone. I'm also on the opposite end of Brian here. I like the Seahawks a lot more today. It's at home. 12th man is still alive there in Seattle. They're going crazy, bumping up in Seattle. Zach Charbonnet absolutely destroyed Arizona last week against that defense. I expect this offensive line to continue that trend. They are going against a tougher D-line, but I do believe that Charbonnet is going to do enough today. My biggest question in the game is going to be Geno Smith. Can he be able to control the game, not make costly turnovers, and be able to be a game manager per se into this game? I have DK going off today. I think DK needs to show up. I know he's dealing with a little bit of a shoulder injury, but I think it's time for him to hit his props and hit what he needs. On the flip side, man, Jordan Love, I think he's having a little bit of a sophomore slump, a la CJ Stroud this year as well. And the heart and the engine that goes for Green Bay is Josh Jacobs. And if they can, if Seattle's defense can stand up to that and be able to hold them down, then I got Seattle winning this game and a big game today as they'll move to 9-5.
Definitely give me.
Fuck the Bears! Fuck Chicago! Fuck you!
Sorry, I was queuing that up. Tony, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And fuck my life. Go ahead. Vikings. Vikings roll. Vikings roll. That's it. Vikings roll. Sam Darnold destroys the Bears. Justin Jefferson has his mojo back. Addison, like I said a couple weeks ago, just been friggin' a monster. I like Minnesota. I'll lay the 6.5.
Caleb Williams, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a good loss.
Man. Yeah, real quick for me, man. Yeah, it's Vikings for me as well. They're gonna go 12-2. I'm hoping for a loss because that's what Tome wants.
Yeah.
So let's get a loss.
I mean, they've lost 7 in a row. So starting 4-2.
Listen,
keep it going.
I got a quarterback's lost 7 games in a row and has his 3rd interception. Now, I mean, is there any other way? What else you want me to do?
Because he keeps on getting hit. That old line's not an issue, though, I heard.
Not a lot going on here. 6-7 Falcons will need a win at the 2-11 Raiders. Atlanta's laying 5.5. Atlanta will play three teams in the last 4 games of 3 or less wins. Vegas has lost 9 straight. Longest active streak, longest single season streak in the league since 2014. They're probably going to make it 10.
gives a shit about this game.
I don't know.
This
Kirk
game's
Cousins,
trash.
Kirk Cousins. Listen, there's only one thing I want to say about this game. Well, maybe two. One, you need a huge Bijan Robinson game for everybody in the fantasy world. The other one is Brock Bowers is everything Kyle Pitts was hoped to be. And Bowers let most people down last week with a subpar game, but I don't see that happening 2 weeks in a row. Bowers torches the Falcons today.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, is this the Monday night game?
There's
Monday
two
night.
Monday
It's
night
a
God,
games.
this is the Monday night game?
There's 2 games.
Yeah.
Monday night games.
Oh, I hate that.
I hate that too.
So bad.
The benefit for Atlanta fans tomorrow night is going to be the fact that one of the greatest defensive players in the game is going to be out for the rest of the year, and that's Max Crosby. He will be done for the season, so that's going to hurt the pass rushing and the defense of the Raiders, which is I think is going to benefit them to go to 3-12, which is another benefit for them to have a top pick. I think Kirk Cousins is going to actually. I'm on the opposite side, Quig, and I know he's been terrible, but I think Kirk's going to crack on Monday. I think he's going to have a big game tomorrow night.
Well, no one's better in primetime than Kirk Cousins, right?
No one's
Yeah, I
better
mean,
in primetime.
and I mean, Atlanta's getting this streak of bad teams at the right time because they're playing
At the right time. Yep. I agree.
Oh no, I think Atlanta's going to win the game. I mean, it's just I just think Brock Bowers was off.
Bijan's going to eat, bro.
Bijan and get on that Darnell Mooney train.
Ooh, Ray McLeod.
Thank you for watching the show today. If you're in the South Jersey or in the New Jersey area, you see those drones. If you want to try shooting at them, I wouldn't tell you not to.
Okay, you want me to address the drone situation real quick?
Yes.
This is idiotic. Okay. First of all, and Brian, you're very astute gentleman in a lot of ways, right?
They're U.S. military.
No, they're not U.S. military. They're U.S. departments. They're CIA. They're DARPA. They're Homeland Security, NSA. The government came out and said they're not U.S. military. Okay,
which means they are U.S. military.
But there's so many other branches of that aren't included military. Picatinny Artillery, which is where it says it was one of the most technology-based hubs that supply all the branches of all these other factions of government. And it's just ridiculous that people can't just see what the government's saying and just relax with it.
They had
we'll be all right.
There was a clip on TikTok where they had it all over Temecula area. And this dude tried to shoot it down. He got caught, bro. Dumbass.
Yeah, well, and that's the overwhelming thing. Lamar Jackson with an early fumble. It looked like, guys. I don't know if you've seen that on the red zone, but
oh shit, it's 10:00. Oh, see you guys.
Yeah, we gotta go. All right. Enjoy the week.
Peace.